Am I the a-hole for not wanting anything to do with my brother, even after he tried to delete himself? I, 27 male, haven't spoken or seen my brother Kevin in 5 years. I barely speak to our parents or anyone in the family. When I was 22 and Kevin was 25, I found out that my girlfriend of 3 years was having an affair with Kevin. I broke up with her and moved back into my parents' place, showing my parents the proof of the affair. After a month of ignoring Kevin's attempt to reach out and being cold when he would come around to apologize, my parents told me it was time to forgive him. They even went as far to stage an intervention with my ex, Kevin, and extended family, to give me reasons why I should forgive them, especially Kevin. All this did was hurt me more. I told him what they did was unforgivable, especially when it came to Kevin because he was my brother. I looked up to him. I would have done anything for him. We were really close and he betrayed me in the worst way. A couple of months after that, I got the chance to get far away from them and took it. I went no contact with Kevin and my parents. For the last couple of months, I've been in contact with a cousin because my grandmother has been having health issues, and it got worse, so I went back to visit her in the hospital. On the way out, I unfortunately ran into Kevin. He wanted to talk, but I pretended I didn't know him and he started to cry saying he was sorry, and he wanted to have a relationship. I told him he must have me mistaken for someone else and left. My cousin then called me later saying Kevin has a really bad mental breakdown about what happened. Apparently ever since I cut contact with him, his mental health has declined a lot. Then my parents called me and begged me to see Kevin. That being there for him would give him a peace of mind. They pressured my cousin into giving them my number. I told them I wasn't gonna do that. Mom started crying saying she wanted her family back, that she wanted her sons being close again. I told her that Kevin, her and Dad ruined that I didn't care about them anymore. My dad then asked if we all sat down, talked, and apologized for all the hurt we caused each other, that things could be the way they were before. I said I didn't want to talk, and I have nothing to apologize for. The next day my dad called, and I could tell he was crying. He said Kevin tried swallowing a bunch of pills. Apparently, they told Kevin what I said, and it pushed him over the edge. My parents found him in time, and now he's in the hospital. They think I can make his mental health better if I just have a relationship with him again. But I don't want one. I don't feel it's fair to put his mental health on me. I don't even know how I would even help him, when every time I think of him all I feel is rage, hurt, and betrayal. He's my brother, but I just don't want nothing to do with him. So am I the a-hole for not wanting anything to do with my brother? Not the a-hole. Just needing a clarification. Are they still together? They dated a year after I left, but broke up because my grandparents and some other family members crucified them. Well, Mom, I would like my brother to go back in time and not bang my girlfriend, and here we are. There are 3 girls in my family, and our biological father pulled a disappearing act when the youngest was 1. At my grandfather's funeral, the sperm donor asked her how could he make things right with her. Her response was, build a time machine, travel back to the 70s, and be a decent father. It blows my mind that parents can be cold and heartless enough to abandon their kids. For a while I wanted to eat myself, and the main reason I didn't was because I couldn't do that to my dog. The thought of him not knowing where I went / thinking I just abandoned him and condemning him to spend the rest of his life with my brother was enough for me to keep going. So I just can't fathom how people can just abandon their human children like that. It's psychotic. Not the a-hole. He knew what he was doing and did it anyway. And the fact that he is your brother makes this betrayal on steroids. One thought though, don't let it make you bitter. The best revenge is living a good life. Kevin did this in a subconscious way to guilt Opie into forgiving him, I'll bet. Not the a-hole. Kevin has issues and none of them were caused by you. I can't imagine that having parents who think, let's all apologize to each other, is an appropriate response to a scenario in which one person is very clearly wrong, and the other has been hurt has helped him much. The heck is that nonsense? Not the a-hole. My father's brother slept with the person who gave birth to me, and it tore my paternal family apart. I grew up never knowing my cousins or aunts until I was an adult and Facebook was around. 7 years ago, my father's brother found out he had cancer and my aunts told my dad. He didn't care, he never spoke to him again. He died a year or so ago, and my dad has 0 regrets. Some hurts are just too deep, and the people who never hurt you are your true family. My father's brother's kids, however, didn't do anything. And after he died and my cousins reached out, my father was there for them. It's up to you what you want to do. I believe that if your family hurts you, then they aren't family anymore. F. Kevin. F Uncle Gary, and F my piece of trash mom. Am I the a-hole for refusing to acknowledge her paternity claims? I was once in a long-term relationship with my ex for about 4 years. Our relationship was great. We didn't fight or argue a lot, and she was very supportive. However, towards the end of the relationship, I felt like she was hiding something from me that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I was scheduled to move to a new city, so we had planned on having a long-distance relationship. A month after moving, she told me she didn't want to have a relationship anymore and wanted to focus on herself. I respected her decision given, and it had been so long and I figured there must have been fatigue. After this, her communication became erratic, and I figured it was probably her way of keeping distance. A month later, she changed completely and was back to communicating how we used to, even promising she'd make an effort to visit. Then one day, while having a hearty conversation, she informed me she had something she had to confess. She not only told me she had been unfaithful, but was also expectant with the guy's child. I was devastated. I couldn't believe her betrayal, and the fact that she was going to keep it. Worst feeling ever. I tried to get answers, but at some point she started painting me as the villain. I fell into depression, and it took me nearly the rest of the year to recover. I decided to cease communication and try focus on myself. Fast forward to this year, and she reached out to me telling me how she messed up and went through many guys that made her realize I was special. I ignored these messages and kept living my life. However, she kept hitting me up asking if we could speak about something important. My current girlfriend advised I should hear her out, given that she had already started contacting my uni friends to reach me. I agreed to speak to her, and she dropped a bombshell on me. She said I was the father to her child, and that she didn't tell me then, because according to her, I wasn't ready. I told her that I didn't believe her, and that she should continue on the path she chose. I proceeded to block her on all social media. Am I the a-hole for now wanting to follow up on her claims? Not the a-hole. You needed time to process things. Don't promise a thing, simply offer to take a DNA test and go from there. If she is serious or thinks there is a chance, then she'll agree to it. Verify first before allowing her toxicity back into your life. Problem is we are in different countries, so I'm thinking the logistics will be hectic. It's the modern age, my man. A quick Google search for parental test different countries yielded results. An extra hurdle for sure, but one that is worth it. You have no reason to trust her. I just don't get it. Why now? I feel like it's a ploy to get back with me, especially after things didn't work out with the other guy. That's why you need a DNA test. Not taking it jeopardizes your current relationship. Just do it, and put this behind you. She's lying to you, and is back in the front of your head. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Make your ex do the legwork of getting you to submit to a paternity test to determine if the kid is really yours, which will be incredibly difficult if you're now in different countries. I suspect what happened is that the real father ditched your ex and wants nothing to do with her, and now she's casting about for someone to support her kid. I've been thinking the same thing, because why wait almost 5 years to tell me? I think she should make the effort if it is indeed true. Am I the a-hole for refusing to move in with my long-term girlfriend until our intimate life improves? Backstory. So this one may require some backstory to build up to the big argument which happened a few days ago. I, 23 male, have been with my Janine, 23 female, for 8 years now. We began as school sweethearts and have had our ups and downs, but for the most part, have been a very happy couple for that whole time. We love each other's families, really enjoy each other's company, and have known for a while we wanted to tie the knot and settle down at some point. Talk of moving in together has been on the cards for a while, but we wanted to stand firm on our plan to buy, rather than rent. So we have been saving for years now, and are both in a position where we feel as though we can afford a deposit, and have enough outside of that to make mortgage payments with both our salaries. Everything feels perfect, except for one thing: our intimate life. For the past 2 years, this area has been near on non-existent. Initially, it began to ramp down in frequency at what I thought was natural. Every few days became once a week, but this felt normal. We still live at home, so it can be awkward, but this was what I felt to be natural now for where we were in our relationship. However, as time went on, this dwindled more and more, and we are now in the position to not having done the deed in 4 months. I have tried to initiate, but I get the cold shoulder so frequently that it has burned out any wanting for me to try. At first, when I questioned this, Janine told me she was feeling a lot of pain. Of course, I didn't want to force her into anything, so we stopped then and began looking for ways to help. Initially, we believed this to be vaginismus, but over time we realized the symptoms didn't quite match up to what we thought, so kept looking. Well, I kept looking. Janine didn't show any signs of wanting to push to help this. I recommended doctor's appointments, but she disagreed with the need to go to the doctors for this. I mentioned therapy and she shot this down too. I would research home remedies and she would read what I sent over and disregard it as, that won't work for me. Initially with the pain, we settled on performing different acts that required no penetration, but this did not last long. She would always turn down advances and blame a particular element of my approach. I came on too strong. I wasn't coming on enough to get her going. I initiated too quickly. I took too long and now she's turned off. It's not spontaneous enough. It's too spontaneous and I didn't give her enough time to prepare. It's too loud in the house, it's too quiet and will be heard, etc. This really knocked my confidence and made me consider ending things, but every other aspect of our relationship was perfect, so I didn't want to say anything. Anyways, on to the present. The argument. When we first began looking for places, I mentioned our bedroom life and stated that I didn't feel comfortable getting a mortgage together if we didn't have an active intimate life, as it would be harder for both of us to deal with at that point. She was taken aback by this, but after discussion agreed we'd keep looking and she would work on becoming more active in that area. That was a year ago. Fast forward to the past few weeks, and we realized our finances were in the right place to move. Janine asked what day I would like to go and speak with a mortgage advisor, and I told her I didn't. She was confused and asked what I meant, and I explained as above. In a year, I had been saving for this mortgage under the agreement to move in should she work on rebuilding our intimate life. In that year, she had done nothing and taken no action, even going the 4 months without initiating or engaging with me about this. As said before, I didn't want to force her, but wanted to see some form of effort at being more intimate in our relationship. She stopped kissing me without my initiation in this time too. She has seen 0 doctors in this time for her medical issues and has refused my advances of couples therapy. When I finished explaining, I said our finances are there, but I am not ready to pursue this next stage together without work on that part of the relationship. She was furious with me and stated that I was holding our future at ransom to have more action. She stormed out, and I haven't heard from her since, other than a text message telling me she wasn't coming to a dinner date I had planned, and to call her when I had decided to not be an a-hole anymore. Whilst I feel that my intentions weren't cruel, I now feel like I may be the a-hole for building up to this point of building our finances, to suddenly halt it like this. I understand her feelings of betrayal, but I just can't move in, knowing our intimate life is going to continue non-existent. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Sexual compatibility is a very valid concern. You should absolutely not buy a house or take your relationship further with this person if you are going to be unhappy. Anyone seeing this level of incompatibility would recommend not getting married. Buying a house together is effectively getting married. It's forming a legally binding contract with a person you are romantically entangled with all the strengths and complications that entails. Depending on the situation, it can be easier and cheaper to get divorced than to divide up a house. Divorce is only complicated when you have shared assets, like a house or children. One example is if you can't buy your partner out, so you want to seek the house. But the housing market dips so that you can't get back the money you put into it, and you both wind up with debt. I would not buy a house with someone I'm not married to. Marriage literally exists to protect you when it comes to shared assets. If she's not willing to see a doctor or get therapy or at least try, and keeps putting all the blame on you, then why even continue the relationship? Incompatibility can be a death sentence for a relationship. Time to accept you may never sleep with her again, even though you're in a relationship, or become single. I would choose being single. Take it from someone who purchased a home with someone with an incompatible libido. You will regret it. It's just a matter of when you'll regret it, not if. Also, it sounds like she has been willing in the past to just tell you what you want to hear, in the hopes that you'll stop caring about your intimate life and help her get what she wants, which sounds like she mostly wants to nest up in a house. She has even gone so far as to minimize your romantic needs, with that "call me when you are done" being an a-hole bit, and props up her wants as the important goal in the relationship, not making sure both people are happy. She wants what she wants, and now you are inconveniencing her. Trust me, I was with someone just like that. And if you go along with her, you'll probably end up with a lot of resentments and what feels like wasted years or decades. People like this don't think too deeply on how their attitudes and actions affect others, and will generally feel that it's their intentions that matter, not the outcome of their actions. While on the flip side, your intentions don't mean anything. Just how the outcome of your actions affects her in particular. Jump ship dude.